creating a user-defined function in Excel using VBA. So we're going to calculate a user-defined function in Excel to calculate the CAPM cost of equity. Now, a function in Excel, like Excel's average function or payment function or present value function, are called Excel's built-in functions. You could create your own functions called user-defined functions. These functions are stored in modules in the Visual Basic environment. Now, to get to this environment, I'm going to go to Excel. I just have a spreadsheet here with some variables. So just any spreadsheet. I'm going to go to my Developer tab or hit Alt F11. Now, if you don't have a Developer tab, go to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and make sure you have Developer checked. So I can either go to the Developer tab and hit Visual Basic or hit Alt F11. And now I'm in my VBA environment. So notice I'm in Book 1 Workbook. You can see this is called a VBA Project Viewer. If you don't have this, hit View and click on Project VBA Project. And now what I need to do is insert a module. Insert module. And there it is, called Module 1. Don't do it again. We're just going to have one module. And this is where we can write VBA programs. And these VBA programs in this module are attached to this workbook, just like worksheets are attached. So let's go back. So we have our VBA environment ready. Now we're ready to write our first program. The program has the following form. You type the word function. You give it any name you want, and then in a bracket here you want to put in any of the inputs, are called parameters in VBA. Type in some program lines, and then always end with end function. Actually, end function is going to be automatically inserted for you once you hit enter after putting the top line in. So we're going to write a program called CAPM. It's going to be called CAPM, that's the function name. It's going to have three parameters, RF, beta, and MRP, market risk premium. So I'm going to go back again. If you're in your spreadsheet, Alt F11 or Developer VBA, make sure you click on your module, make sure you're in the module, and let's give this the name CAPM. It's not case sensitive. Unfortunately, I can't make this any bigger either. Whoops, I don't want to start with that. I need to start with the word function. Then say CAPM, that's the name of the function, and then in parentheses, RF, beta, MRP. So function, notice that you can't really see that too well here, but it turned blue. That's a reserved word. I can't have a function named function or a variable or parameter named function. If I hit enter, I get end function. And then I can say CAPM equals risk-free rate plus beta times MRP. Now normally when I write a function, I also want to put some description in here. So I'm going to insert a line here. I'm going to put a single quote. This function computes the CAPM cost of equity. And I can put another one here where RF is equal to the risk-free rate, MRP equals the market risk premium, and so on. Whenever you use a single quote, and notice it turned green here, that's called a comment line. These are not used in the program. I can put a comment line anywhere, and it just ignores everything to the right. This is the CAPM model. So that's not going to be used either. So what's all going to be used is the word function, CAPM, my parameters. Here's my formula that has to use the same name as the function, and a formula there. And now I'm going to close this out. I don't have to save it. I'll just save with the workbook. Now I have a risk-free rate, beta, MRP here, and here's my calculation of CAPM, risk-free, CAPM required return for equity. But I can also now go to my insert functions click on user defined, and I can find my CAPM. Hit OK, and there's my risk-free rate, beta, MRP. And there's my 7% or 11%. And the way I did this is whenever I write a new program, I create test data without the function to see what the value is, and then I would go ahead and calculate the function, use the function to make sure it worked. Now I have one other version of this model, and what we can do is we can just copy it from this page, go to my VBA, and hit Alt F11, and I can paste it down here. So we'll call this CAPM2 and call this CAPM2. We can't have two functions with the same name in a workbook. So I'm going to have CAPM2 and CAPM2. And notice this is called an internal variable. This program, the parameters are risk-free, beta, and return on the market. Now the market risk premium is the RM minus RF. So what I use, this is called an internal variable. VBA is creating a new variable called MRP. It's equal to RM minus RF, the two parameters. And then CAPM2, again, these have to line up. These have to be the same, is equal to the risk-free rate plus market risk premium. So we'll see if that worked. Insert CAPM2, RF, beta, and in this case I have return on the market. All right, so that one looked good. So far we've learned that we go to our VBA editor or VBA environment, insert a module, type in the word function, give it a name, tell me the parameters. I can make an internal variable, and then finally I have to take that, whatever that function name is, and say it's equal to something, end function, and that's how you run most basic VBA programs. Now let's take this a little more complicated model. One of the most powerful things in VBA are if-then-else statements. So this function is called letter grade. It has one parameter, percent grade. This function computes letter grades from percent grades. And I have if percent grade is greater than 90%, then next line, letter grade equals A. Else if percent grade is greater than 80, then letter grade is B. Else letter grade is C, and if end function. So what this says is we're going to assign letter grade based on percent grade. And if it's greater than 90, A, otherwise 80, B, otherwise C. Now, to use the if, then, else, if function in VBA, you have to be very, very careful. It has to have this exact format, line by line. If some parameters, then next line, my statement if that's true. Next line, else if another parameter, then next line, another statement. The word else is your last statement, your last condition. That's else, it equals C. And then it always has to finish with end if. So if, end if. So it has to look exactly like this. I couldn't say take letter grade equals A and put it up and continue on this line. So we can take this program, go to my VBA, paste it, and we can see if this works. I'm going to insert it here. It's called letter grade. I need a percent grade. Enter. A. And if I copy that down, B and C. And notice if I change this to say 50%, the grade changes. All right, so this is using a basic program, and I actually write programs like this all the time to do my final grade spreadsheet. And I just have this saved in a Word document somewhere, and I have grades say through A minus, and for my undergraduate class I have lots of A minus, B plus, B minus, C, and so on. And then what I'll do is I'll just fill in these variables here each time depending on the course. Now a couple things to help you out in VBA. One, if I want to save this file, I have to do File, Save As, and I'll just save this anywhere. You got to save it as a macro-enabled workbook. The default, I changed my default to macro-enabled workbook. The default is usually Excel workbook. If you do not save it as a macro-enabled workbook, and I hit save, I would lose all my VBA. So make sure you save as Excel macro-enabled workbook, and you might want to do File Options and look for the option under File to save all your files as macro-enabled workbooks if you're going to be writing VBA. Another thing, you make sure, it's easy to get lost in this VBA area. Make sure that you have just one module, right? If you wind up inserting another module, it's going to give it the name Module 2. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. I'm going to remove it. Make sure you only have one module, and make sure in the module you can have as many programs as you want. Just make sure they all start with function and end with end function. Make sure there's no two with the same name. If you get messed up and you wind up with some kind of error, let me see if I can break this. Alright, I got an error here. I got to learn how to fix it. Looks like I got rid of the word end function, or I put it up here. I fixed it. Now the way to get out of this is hit reset. And now the function will work again. Alright, so this is basically how you can write VBA programs inside Excel. Now they're only going to be accessible in this workbook. So what you might want to do is, if you have some great programs, just remember where you save them, or copy them, put them into a Word document and save them somewhere else, and you know where all your programs are. So this is how you'd create a VBA program in Excel.